Hi. Hi.
Hi, Jesse. How's it
It's
going? How's
great
it
to
going?
see you. Oh, I'm very excited. A little bit nervous, but besides that, I'm great.
Why would you be nervous? You're looking so confident, you're looking so amazing, and we've heard such
Thank you
wonderful
so much.
things about the music that you've been making, and we so want to hear from you. Jesse, I believe we have an amazing session lined up for all our wonderful young learners out there. Jesse, the stage is yours. I'll be backstage in case you need me. Call for me, and I will jump right back on. Boys and
Thank you
girls,
so much.
Jesse.
Thanks. So, hello again. Hello, guys. My name is Jessie. I'm from Sofia, Bulgaria, and it's so great to be here. And I especially want to say to Salim, I loved your show, the show you just made. It was very nice. I enjoyed it. It was very educational, even for me. So, let me begin with the beginning of it all. I'm going to show you a short presentation of my musical journey. Let me share my screen real quick. So, let's start with the beginning of everything. I kind of knew what I wanted to do as soon as I was around 4 years old. I heard a few girls playing their violins and I immediately fell in love. I couldn't shut up about it, and eventually my mom was forced into signing me to piano lessons. And to this day, the piano is my most preferred instrument, actually. So eventually, I did go back to my original passion, the violin. And I am not as advanced, but I really love playing it. And the viola and the cello felt pretty familiar after having learned the basics of the violin. So I added them to the collection of musical instruments in my mind and in my room, clearly. um, After that, in my early teens, I got into singing, and I really loved playing the piano and singing. I learned all of Taylor Swift's discography by doing that. But unfortunately, pianos are heavy, difficult to move, not available everywhere, and I couldn't perform on a piano everywhere. And I had to get a guitar, and I learned to play the guitar simply to support my vocals. Finally, a few years later, for my birthday, I got this little cutie. Um, it was a birthday present, and don't judge it based on the size. It's an incredible instrument, and you can play just as well as you can play the guitar on it. So that's pretty much my instrumental collection so far. And now I'll tell you a bit more about me as a producer, a music producer. When I was graduating from high school, a friend of mine introduced me to the process of recording audio, layering, mixing sounds, and eventually creating music. Around that time, I bought myself a microphone, this one that I'm using right now, and the sound card. And that's pretty much all I needed to get started. So all of this was so new and interesting to me, and I could finally record the piano, then the guitar, then add some strings, then vocals, and harmonizing vocals, and make all of it sound good together. And I had found the thing I wanted to do the most. And here I am today actually doing it, starting to do it for a living. I have worked on many songs with other artists. I'm currently working on the first album ever I'm making for another girl that sings and writes songs. And I'm also working on my debut album. And I'm very excited to show you how I made my first song on that album, Polaroid. And I hope you have fun. And in case I turn into too much of a producer, please make sure to ask me to explain and simplify anything. Okay, so let me tell you what you absolutely need in order to start producing music, according to me. I would like to say a computer, but I've seen and I am one of the people creating beats on their iPhones these days, so it doesn't even feel right to say that you need a computer to make music. But what you need is a program for music making, or as we call them in the audio circles, a digital audio workstation. In those, you can record multiple audio sources separately and simultaneously. You can play them all together, control their balance with each other, and mess with them in more ways than you can even imagine. There, you get to be as creative as possible. You have many options to choose from when it comes to the software. There are free, paid options, affordable, great looking, not so great looking. The one I'll be using today is called Logic Pro 10, and it's a very great program. And it looks very good. It looks like a phone app, to be honest. Unfortunately, it's only compatible with macOS, and it's very pricey for beginners. But there are plenty of free versions, and also it has a iPhone compatible baby GarageBand that you can use. I have made beats on the bus to school on GarageBand, and I think it's a great program for that thing. And if you don't use Apple products at all, fear not. There are plenty of other options like Ableton, Pro Tools, Cubase, that also has a smartphone baby called Cubases. And I really recommend Reaper to you because it's free and very intuitive. I use it with my students all the time. I occasionally teach music production or at least songwriting. So in the end, it all adds up to whatever you choose and whatever fits you best. So another thing, and maybe the last thing that you need to purchase in order to record music is a microphone. And there are many options out there. You can just plug it into a computer or use a sound card like I do. Or if you use your phone to record vocals, you wouldn't be the first one. That's also fine. Like, seriously, your creativity is the only thing that you need. And that's about it. Let me tell you something that I keep hearing every time I open a YouTube tutorial on sound production or every time I go to speak to my professors. Everyone always says, use your ears and improvise. As you can see, you might need a computer, you might not need a computer, you might need a mic or not, you might need a program or a phone application. Don't take anything I tell you today as strict rules, because my rule is if it sounds right, it can't be wrong, right? And actually, one of the most famous videos, the most famous video on YouTube I have, it has like 100,000 views. I made it before I even knew the basics, and it's the best version it can be. I can't make it better even if I tried to. So my advice, as everyone has always said to me, is use your ears, think about what you hear. Whatever worked yesterday might not work today, might work tomorrow. That's normal. Be brave, learn, and be brave to share and express your creativity. So this was my short presentation. Now to the songwriting part. I would be very happy to play my song for you before I start talking about it. So here is my guitar. Here are my headphones. Let me figure this out. And here is Polaroid. I'll play a bit of that song. I hope you like it. It's such a terrible idea. No one of us deserved this. I never should have come here. I'm sorry, the price wasn't worth the risk. Ooh, I got all these faces on my walls. Ooh, but yours developed in my mind. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So this was part of Polaroid. I hope you liked it. So I started writing the lyrics to this one on a flight back home after a vacation a couple years back. I literally wrote the lyrics on the plane, but it took a long time for it to get finished, and I even changed a couple words last minute before making the final version that you can now listen to alongside its music video. So I'm going to show you how I made this one. So here's Logic, the software I was telling you about. Now let me show you a quick snippet of the final product, actually. and the music video, we kind of call it the movie at this point because it's intense.
And I know I could ignore your call, but what I feel around you so hard to find.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil the end for you, but maybe at the end I'll show you some more parts of the music video if we have the time. So this is the end result, and you heard the demo. As you can see, it went like a long way. So here in Logic, I have organized and color-coded all of the different instruments and vocal tracks so I can get around more easily. I always use these colors for these tracks. And on the top, you can see the chords you're playing, the tempo, how fast the song goes, the metronome, the basic stuff. On the left, you get to manipulate sounds, or at least that's how I would explain it. As you can see, I have severely manipulated my vocals. And in the middle is where your song lives, this part, this pool right here. So just a second. So here the song lives in like tracks, and here you put everything you want to have there. So the first demo for this song I wrote in the piano. I write different songs on different instruments depending on where I am and what I have in my hands. Some of them I write in the ukulele, some on the guitar, some just exist in my mind. So this one I wrote in the piano, and at the beginning it was something like this.
And I know I could ignore your calls.
Yes.
But what
And after having recorded the demo as a vocalist, it came natural to me to record backing vocals, and there they are. A choir made by myself and I only. Let me show you what that's like.
I got all these faces on my wall. But
As you can see, I recorded like a lot of them, so they would sound like a girl choir that's all around the main vocal. And that was tough to make them all be synchronized as possible. But I really enjoyed the end result, and I love making vocal lines. That's one of my favorite things when it comes to making songs. And now I'm going to tell you about the instrument I don't play, and that makes everything kind of difficult for me. I don't play the drums. I have tried. I'm not very good at this. So I always use alternative methods because it's very tricky for me to come up with drum patterns. So for example, here, let me show you. That's funny. I did this.
faces on my wall. But yours.
I am using my own breathing as a rhythm element, and honestly, I love doing that. I have done it on many songs before Polaroid, and I am for sure going to keep doing it because it just adds so much soul into the song. I hope you agree with me. And eventually, I'll come back to me being unable to deal with drums when I tell you about how I turned this Polaroid right here into my own drum machine. But first, a very important part, that's the bass. As you can see, some of the tracks you see look different. Some look like flat lines, some look like waveforms. This is what I call a waveform. And that's because I use two kinds of audio sources. First, we have the audio that I have recorded with my microphone, like vocals and breathing and some other things you're about to see later. And then we have virtual instruments, those flat lines, the bass, for example. that are basically instruments created by other people that need to be fed musical information in order to play whatever part you give them. And that's how I made the bass. And I have a little secret to share with you when it comes to the bass. This is actually the very same bass that Billie Eilish uses for her song Ocean Eyes. And that's the cool thing about virtual instruments. Sometimes you don't even know that you're using the same instruments as your favorite artists. Let me show it to you. Yeah, it simply sounds muddy and fuzzy, and but you have to check it out combined with the rest of it.
I got all these faces on my wall.
So the bass gives us the low frequencies, all of the low frequencies I need in this song, and it's the bass I start building from. And actually, once I found the instrument, before finding it, it was a struggle, and after I found it, everything like came into place. So here is the bass is just playing a simple descending line, but it still contributes so much. And moving on, back on track, here are some other virtual instruments that I'm using for this song. Let me show you. I call those the wallpaper instruments because they're like, not the wallpaper, the paint you have on your walls. Because they're like the paint you have on your walls and you put your pictures on them. They don't need to be obvious, but they really fill it in and give you the right feeling. For example, that airy ambient feeling I was looking for, that was the best way for me to recreate it. And let me show you, in the mix, you can barely hear them.
And I know I could ignore your call.
You can hear my breathing louder than this. And that was the point. That's what I was aiming to do. So the next thing I want to show you, another thing I really like doing is recording, is strings. But this time in particular, I didn't want them to be real. On the contrary, I wanted them to sound as fake as possible. I wanted them to sound not like I've played them. I wanted them to be messed up. So I used a mellotron sample. Let me tell you a bit about what that is. So you know how when you play the piano, I just pressed an A key on my piano. A hammer inside the piano hits a string that is tuned to an A. So when you press the A key on the mellotron plays back to you a tape recording, an audio tape recording of an A played by whatever was recorded, in my case, strings. So it's vintage, it's very mechanical, it's retro, it has its limitations, but it's lovely, and I really enjoyed it. And let me show you what it sounds like. Yeah, so this was exactly what I was looking for. And by the way, the mellotron sound is having a comeback these past few years. I keep hearing it in pop music, like, for example, the song Love Again by Dua Lipa. Her vinyl is right there on my wall. And the vibraphone comes next, one of my most favorite instruments that I don't play and don't own, unfortunately. And let me show it to you. As you can hear, I have a great appreciation for this instrument. And I kind of let it be a main character in the song, alongside the vocals, almost as loud as them. Yeah, and this was another virtual instrument. All of them I recorded on this little thing right there. It's a very budget-friendly MIDI controller, and that it's easy portable and great for starters, as I was when I got it. So let me show you everything so far.
I should have kept my distance. You're nothing like the things I like. Forget it, I never meant to do this. It's just
It's starting to sound like a song, right? And there is just one thing missing. Can you think of a thing that's missing? And I can hear my chat now because I'm in the project, but if anyone said or shouted the drums, I'm clapping for you. And now it's time for the best part. I'm about to introduce you to this little guy right here, my Polaroid. So, of course, I wrote a song called Polaroid. Of course, I'm going to use the Polaroid camera to make samples. You absolutely do not need one of these to produce music, but it just happened to be my hobby. And also, this is appropriate time to give you all a flash warning because I'll be shooting a couple of pictures to show you what I did. And in case someone is sensitive to sudden flashes, just I'm giving you a warning. So Polaroids use film to develop pictures in around 10 minutes. And this one is empty. So I will put this old film tray inside that I filled with already developed pictures to show you what I did. So let me just load it. This is a protective light shield for the film, but let's put that aside. Did you hear the sound the camera just made? Listen again. Also, trigger warning for the flash. Let me turn it on. Come on. And this one too. As a Polaroid fan, I find these sounds very satisfying, so I recorded all of them. And by the way, this Polaroid is the thumbnail for my song on iTunes and Spotify, where you can listen to the song later on if you like it. Let me show the other sounds I recorded. I recorded the shutter, the timer, the exposure, the sound of opening and closing this thing. And this one was a bit painful for me to do, but I just kind of gently stomped the Polaroid on my desk. And I tried being very gentle, I swear. Also, check this out. One last flash warning for you. While the picture is coming out of the Polaroid, it actually has a pitch to the sound if you listen carefully. And I was lucky enough that this pitch was, to begin with, in tune with my song. Let me show you. These are just the Polaroid samples. You get it. So with a little bit of editing, they turn into my own mechanical drum set. And this is the perfect example of that phrase people use when they say, the sky is the limit. Because you can actually make music without even having a musical instrument if you really, really put your mind into it. For example, I'm sure that each and every one of you can easily make a beat, just using the tools you have on your study desk, like pens, pencils, sharpeners, rulers, trust me. And I'll go one step further into challenging you to do that. And I would be more than happy to look at your results. And finally, although I love the Polaroid sounds, I needed to add real drums alongside the Polaroid ones. And that left us here. You get it. We finally have the rhythm that is moving the whole song forward. And now the Polaroid samples are just adding quirkiness to the song without being too out of place or too annoying. And let me show you, that actually leaves us with a full-on ready song.
in my mind, and I know I could ignore your call, but what I feel around you so hard to
what happened after I finished this, I made sure that there is enough space for all of these instruments in the sound stage of the song. I mixed them all together, trying to be as good as possible while doing this. And I sent the whole thing to a mastering engineer. And maybe that sounds like a scary, confusing thing because I wasn't completely sure what those people do until like 3 years ago. But that's the person that makes the music compatible with YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, etc. Now, if you're just getting started, it's absolutely okay to skip the mastering process because it requires a lot of experience, very nice studios, very nice monitors, and that shouldn't scare you. It's okay not to skip that step when you're first getting started. For example, I don't send all of my YouTube covers to be mastered, but I always send my original music. And it's a great thing to learn. If you're someone like me, it was a particularly difficult lesson for me because I love doing everything by myself and playing all of these instruments by myself. It was a difficult lesson to learn that it's okay sometimes for you to need other people to do something for you. And it's okay to not be good at absolutely everything, because I'm not saying I'm good at everything. I'm just saying it's okay not to do everything by yourself and to ask for help and have friends in the same field as you are. And after all that, my song was finished, published, and ready to be listened to. We made a music video that took like 3 days to be made, not that much, but we were working and shooting and filming for like 24 hours nonstop sometimes. It was intense, and this is the end result. Let me show you a little bit more of the video. Okay.
I know I should have kept my distance. You're nothing like the things I like. Forget it, I never meant to do this. It's just my thoughts and deeds are too alike.
Okay, and I think that's enough. You can go to YouTube and check it out for yourself if you want to. Let me just stop sharing this and go back to, hey,
Hey,
good to
Jesse, thank
see
you
you.
so much. That was amazing. Your voice is so beautiful and your skills with different instruments. We
Thank you
just
so
saw the
much.
whole walkthrough of your first composition. It's truly unique and beautifully composed. It's going to leave a mark on these young guys out there. I can guarantee you that. Thank
I
you for.
hope so. I hope you liked it.
We loved it. We loved it. In fact, we were all listening to it backstage as well. Any last thoughts you'd like to leave our young learners?
Yes, kind of. There is one only thing I would like to advise musicians and people that are getting into music, and that's just don't be scared into experimenting, trying new things, and sharing what you've done with the world. Because it was one of the scariest things for me to make this song public for the people. So just don't be scared to do that. Nothing is going to go terribly wrong if you do it. Just go for it.
Well, thank you for the lovely words, Jesse. And thank you so much for joining us. More power to you, more great music to you. And of course, we look forward to hearing all the lovely tracks that you'll keep composing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.